G'day guys, welcome back to the Supercoach YouTube channel. Today we will be reviewing round 7 and talking about trade plans, upgrade targets. And yeah, I think it's an interesting week for trades. So let's get into it. So this week I scored 2,491, which I thought was a better score than it was, but I think a lot of people are in that boat. Still ended up moving up 878 ranks to rank 3,615. So yeah, we'll review teams. So Zorko, pretty frustrating this one. Could have easily gone like 130, I think. Just butchered the ball a lot. So the Saints matchup isn't as good for defenders now, but yeah, would have liked Zorko to cash in a little bit more here. His favourite matchup every year, the Suns, is coming around this week, so hoping for a big bounce back. What's the break even? 130. Really good upgrade target for this week. We'll talk about all that stuff later though. Matt Roberts, the gift that keeps on giving, my favourite player this year. Not really, but I've enjoyed loving Nigel Thornberry go to work. Yeah, a couple of weaker scores in here, but still averaging 104. So yeah, wrapped with that. They did also throw Blakey forward at the end of the game. I don't know, I think Dean Cox went full Luke Beveridge and just started spinning the magnets around wherever he pleased. So, but that was interesting. Maybe if they do that again. Blakey did kick 3 goals, so maybe that's on the horizon again. But that could only be good for Roberts and Bice's scoring. So I don't know. Fingers crossed that happens, but I don't think it makes the Swans better. So I don't think it will. And then Bailey Dale. Oh, Giants is a tough matchup. We'll talk about Dale when I talk about trade plans. I kind of want to get rid of him, but I know it's bad. I know his run's pretty good. He just has to get through this game, really. I just shouldn't trade this. Port aren't a great matchup for defenders, but I think the Giants are the worst. So I don't. This pick is so frustrating because you watch Bramble. Bramble screws up every single kick in, every single kick he takes around the ground, misses the target. I just don't understand why Bramble gets usage over Dale. And then for some reason, Dale just does nothing in the first half, and then in the second half comes alive. So it would be good if he stopped doing that because it's killed a couple of his scores recently. But yeah, it's super frustrating. I don't know what he's gone at Mars in the past either, but Mars can't be a good ground for him. Any Mars? Mars 103? Not bad. 126. Okay. Maybe Mars will be okay. Mars is very windy, so in theory that wouldn't be good for outside players, but it does generally result in a lot of points. So that's good for kick and takers. So maybe I will hold Dale. Interesting. Tom Stewart. You probably gathered by the title of the video, Tom Stewart is gone this week. I've had enough of this pick. This pick could not have gone wrong more this year. It has been the worst pick of the year, and it has absolutely derailed my season. The pick would have gone better if he was a long-term injury originally, but no, he was 2 late outs, and a subbed 9, and then 2 stinkers because he's playing through injury. So he's gone for me. People saying don't sideways your primos. This guy is not a primo, okay? He's putting up rookie scores. His knee is cooked. He doesn't call for the ball anymore, and he does not fly for marks. He might as well be a 436k rookie, and I'm cashing him in now. He has got to go. And I'd be strongly advising you, if you had Tom Stewart, to do the same. Riley Bice, what a star. I think there's 17 other clubs in the AFL who wish they picked this guy up. But yeah, he's an absolute weapon. Love watching him go about it. Then Brian Reid lost the coin flip again, but it is what it is. I tweeted that I'd have to do this for one more week. I think that is still the case, but we will see. But Reid was awesome in the wet, by the way. He was taking good contested marks. His kicking was pretty good, so it's good to see Zach Reid get a good run at things, and yeah, he's a really talented player, so yeah, wrap for him. And then Matt Carroll, this guy was the most dropped player in the league at halftime, but then in the second half, he made some really great defensive plays and had some great kicks in the last quarter, so I think he holds. I think the competition for his spot is Cowan, and I don't think Cowan is very good. So that has to be in Carroll's favour. I know they rate Carroll. He's a decent ball user at his best. That was a weakness of his game on Sunday. But yeah, I think they need him back now. I think they like him. So I think they'll persist with him. Yeah, it was good to see. I was very concerned about this at halftime, but alas. And then Andrew Brayshaw, is he averaging the most in Supercoach this year? Maybe Whitfield is. Oh, it's Brayshaw. What a starting pick this guy's been. I'm sort of wondering when the tags start going to Brayshaw instead of Sarong. I just kind of don't think they will. I think this week they could. Windhager. Maybe they send Windhager to Brayshaw, but I don't know. I don't think they will. I still think they'll go to Sarong. Sarong has proven that he does massive damage at contest if you don't tag him. So I would be inclined to think that they will continue to go to Sarong. But yeah, I don't know. Supercoach has gone bananas on these projecteds. But I mean, the only tags coming up are Windhager and Bedford. And I think both of those will go to Sarong. And there's plenty of games here that are no tags. Oh, here's Windhager. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I presume that if the one out of Sarong and Brayshaw that doesn't get tagged in this first game will get tagged in this next game. So, I don't know. Maybe Ross just decides to tag Sarong both times. That'd be good for me. Nick Dacos, this score could have been a lot bigger. And I was kind of, given I had the Gorn VC on Thursday, I was kind of hoping that this score would be about that 120 to 125. So I'd get 50 points on Dacos captainers. You pretty much have to take a 125. So, but yeah, he was really good. Could have gone a lot bigger. I think he missed 3 shots at goal. But yeah, Dacos is Dacos. And it's just really good to have one of these like uber big dog mids who just go bananas. So I'm referring to Dacos, Bont, Butters. Because Bont and Butters are gone at the moment. I don't think we're getting them. We may not get them this year. I mean, Butters is averaging 160, so he's not coming down anytime soon. I think we might get Bont, given he was subbed, but we'll see how that goes. Rosie on debut, the 118. Got tagged again by Darcy Tucker, who went Tony Snell in what is probably his last game of the season for North this year. Yeah, he was rubbish, and Rosie was very good. Love Rosie off halfback. I think he's All-Australian off halfback, and he is definitely a top, I want to say, 4 defender. When I talk about trading targets, I've been trying to work out who the good defenders are for various reasons. Will be discussed later, but I think Rosie goes 115, in my opinion. Adam Chera had a quiet one. Was grabbing at his groin late in the game. It looked like cramp. He did have the pickle juice, but I mean, worst case scenario, Chera's done his job. I don't think the break-even 111 against the Crows is probably not ideal, but yeah, he's done his job. He's been terrific. And then Dawson, my man, this guy, he leaves a 140 on the table last week, and then the week before he just has a shocker. So I'm like, all right, this week he's got to bounce back, right? Nope, another shocker, just clangs it up. Last week I would say it's a 140 because it was just like errors. This week it was just like hack kicks off the ground, turned over, gets the ball in contest, hack kick, turned over, like an absolute disaster. He went 100 in AF in 3 quarters and then was banished to the forward line for the 4th. So yeah, that was a tough watch. There's a lot of calls for him to go behind the ball this week. I'm not sure if I love that, but my preference would be for him to just find some form in the middle. I think he's pretty far out of form at the moment. So yeah, I think Adelaide would like him in the middle as well. He's a bit bigger. So yeah, that's Dawson. And then Oliver was looking dreadful at halftime, but had a monster third quarter, 13 disposals, 5 clearances, 8 contested, I think. So yeah, that was awesome. Marriage, 87. I think, does he score 87 every week? No, it's his first time, but it's, sort of in the range for Marriage. He's got a few very good matchups coming up, so I think I'll be holding him until the bye. I don't think he is a job security risk at all. He's starting to defend a lot better, so yeah, that's been very good. Clay Hall doing his job as the C, and then we looped Lindsay on the 78. I will be doing the same thing this week, but presumably Lindsay will be I might straight field. I can't imagine this is good for Moraes, but yeah, I'll probably straight field Lindsay. And then Moraes, he was fine. Got a lot of it early. I was kind of hoping he'd get a bit more, but I mean, if he goes 55, that's kind of all he has to do. He'll just slow burn to 250. So yeah, that's whatever. And Gross, can't believe he didn't play last week. Think he'll play this week, but I said that last week, so who knows. Then in the Ruck line, the Rucks went berserk this week. So all of Gawn, TDK, Marshall, and Cameron, I think, also went nuts. Oh, and Cherry, how could I forget? So yeah, Gawn 174 was rested for the last 15 minutes of this game. So probably could have gone 200, but not getting greedy with that. Was wrapped to get that. If you don't own Max this week, it's going to be a hard watch, that Melbourne West Coast game, because, I mean, Meek just went 150 on Flynn. I didn't even think Flynn was that bad, but yeah, Meek went 150. So, I mean, Gawn probably sets his record. I think his highest ever score is 215. Might be getting ahead of myself here, but I think that's in danger this week, genuinely. So that'll be a fun watch for me. Obviously, Melbourne would have to win, which is unlikely, but I don't want to spend the whole time talking about Melbourne, so let's move on. Tom de Koning was excellent. I traded in AFL Fantasy this week because his scores have been so poor in that format, but yeah, he was really good. Got a lot of the ball, heaps of hit-outs to advantage. Has a tough one coming up next week, but yeah, the run is not too bad after that. So yeah, was happy with TDK. I think I'll hold on to him for now. Boyd, Marshall looks much better, and I think they prefer Keeler, so I don't think Boyd will play again, so he's going to be a loop for the whole year. In the forward line, JHF 111, could have gone a lot bigger, but was getting involved in some silly stuff off the ball, which he tends to do, so I don't know. I think Horn Francis goes 110, I want to say. He looks every bit of a young Patrick Dangerfield at the moment, so yeah, pretty wrapped with this pick. Hopefully he can keep his cool and keep going well. Bailey Smith, 120. Just side note, Smith is part of this, but watching the way that Geelong utilises their players' strengths is so impressive. So they drafted Holmes to just run up and down, and it's the same with Close and Myers and all those guys, but the way they use those guys in particular to just run, and in Myers' situation to kick and be really dangerous with the ball in hand is just awesome. And Smith just spends the whole game running. His job is just to get the ball, kick the ball, and he kicks it as long as he can. If it goes long to a contest, that's generally good. 120 Supercoach for that. We take those. I think he does 110, so I can't believe people wanted to fade this guy at the start of the year, but no point lamenting over that. So Petrarca 130, that was an awesome game for Track. Kicked 2 goals. Side note of this game, I thought Trainer scored 66. I traded him out last week. I thought he was a lot better than that. He looked really good, got a couple of intercepts, good user of the ball. There was a lot of sideways and backwards junk, but yeah, he was really impressive. But yeah, so was Petrarca, 2 goals. Good to see him hit the scoreboard, and his kicking was a lot better. I'm hoping that is the rust being shooken off, and it's just to the moon now. Ideally, these games would have come before he had forward status. Good to see that Goodwin's worked out how to use him now, but yeah, pretty frustrating because everyone's going to have him now when he was pretty low ownership at the start. Jack McRae. I think this is a bit of a watch. I think this is a little bit of a watch. I'm not panicking yet. His 2 scores are a tag and a 4 efficiency game, I believe. Obviously, Brisbane's a tough matchup. Would love to see him bounce back, though. I will say that much. I am a little bit concerned about him, and same with Caleb Daniel. Caleb Daniel cannot defend, and I don't think his ball use is good enough to justify that inability to defend in a normal side. However, North is not a normal side, and they don't have anyone who can use the ball and defend that back six. So the concern with Daniel is that he gets dropped and they just throw McKercher back there and say, well, if you're not going to defend, we're going to teach a kid how to play. Now, McKercher is 315k with a break-even of 79, so it's a pretty easy bailout if that does happen, but it is one to watch. I will note Sheasel went back this week. I think they persist with that, which makes Sheasel very interesting for me as a non-owner. But yeah, there is a watch on Daniel as well, but I won't be trading him until you have to, until it goes south. And then Powell Pepper 98, could have gone 110, kicked a ball into the man on the mark from about 8 meters out, so that was a tough watch. But Samuel, thank you for all your scoring. I think you have 1 week left in my team, but I appreciate it a lot. Been almost the best pick of the year, Sam Powell Pepper, and he hasn't been super high owned, so yeah, that's been terrific. Ashcroft was good. I thought I was going to be in trouble here because I don't know. He scored really poorly at the start, but I think he's just close to max out. I think he's going to give us 70 from here. I'm hoping he gives us one last good game with this 48 break even. So then he'll be topped out in price and he can be flicked next week for a Huswaite type. And then Caden Cleary was awesome. Got some CBAs in the last when Cox was going full Bevo Magneto mode. But yeah, he was tackling, using the ball well. Yeah, terrific player. I think this 30 is a massive outlier. I actually reckon he could get to 350, 360 as well. So yeah, if you didn't have him, I would actually consider going him this week. I assume his ownership is pretty high. 32%. Probably the only players that are left paying from. Yeah, if you didn't have Cleary, I would recommend going there this week. And then Matt Flynn, as I said, got, I don't know, he wasn't that bad against Meek. He took some nice contested marks around the ground. Ruck work was okay. Follow-up work was okay. BJ got beaten in the twos, so that's always a good sign. Flynn, ideally, he gives us 2 more games. So with a 95, he goes up 62k this week, and then he's already made, what is that, 140k. Look, realistically, he probably only needs 1 more game, but 2 would be nice, just to really cash in on that Flynn. Excellent trade in last week. All right, let's talk trades. So I'm going to start with upgrade targets. My original thought was I need defenders because my weakest spot on field, I think this week is going to be D6. I also have Tom Stewart and Bailey Dale, who I don't like. And yes, I am considering trading both of them. We'll get to that. So, who do I think are the top 8 defenders is what I asked myself. So, what I came up with was the guaranteed top 4 defenders, I think, are Whitfield, Sinclair, Zorko, and Rosie. Now, Rosie and Zorko, if you didn't have them, I'd be very interested in them this week. They are a great option. Sinclair, I will be waiting a week and getting next week. And Whitfield, I'll be waiting 2 to 3 weeks because he has the only 2 small grounds in the game in the next 2 weeks, as well as potentially a James Jordan tag. I think I don't think he's ever scored over 100. There we go, 106 at the SCG, so that would be wrong. He has never scored over 100 in Geelong, though, is my understanding. So please don't fact check me on that. I don't actually know. But Geelong and the SCG, are his worst grounds. They are small, not a lot of open space. Anyone who's watched Whitfield knows that is conducive of a bad ground for Whitfield. So hoping as a non-owner he gets some attention this week against Sydney from James Jordan. Worth noting that Jordan was beaten last time they played, but that was at NG. The time before that, Jordan claimed him, and I think he went 60. Yeah, 54. So don't want to wish a bad game on anyone, but Whitfield, it would be greatly appreciated this week. I did cop a knock last week as well, and only went 104, so that was pretty fortunate because I thought this was going to be another 140 for Whitfield. But he's who I'm targeting in 3 weeks, which leaves me with no real options this week. So then we go down into the next bracket of players. So the next 4 I have here, there's 5 here. There is some speculation here, I will admit. So the names I have written down are Lockie Ash, who is 570k and out of my reach. I don't want to pay 570 for Ash because I'm not sure that it will persist for the whole year. The Giants aren't going too well at the moment, and I wonder if Kingsley tinkers with their ball use a bit. I'm guessing that they are actually chipping it around the back line a little bit too much, so that could be that could result in Ash losing a lot of points. So that's why I'm not keen on going Ash, even if I could afford him. Jordan Clark is the next one. I believe Jordan Clark has had a lot of good matchups already with some tougher ones coming up. I know Melbourne, I don't think he tonned against Melbourne. He only went 104 against Richmond. 101, yeah, like, oh, it's not pretty reading if you wanted to go Clark. I think there's some tougher matchups. So the Giants and Port and Collingwood, I think, are bad matchups for defenders. Obviously, St Kilda isn't. So he'll probably go well this week. But yeah, I'm a little bit skeptical on Clark and his ability to maintain this 105. I think he realistically gives you 102 max. But hey, I could be wrong. But that's why I don't like Clark. Now, I have 3 names next that are very speculative, and they are not Max Holmes or Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller. Why don't I have Max Holmes and Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller there? So I'll start with Holmes. Holmes I don't think he's an inside midfielder type. I think he's more of an outside transition scorer, which I think is why with Holmes, he can have those big games because when he plays to his normal strengths, he goes all right. And then when he gets those contested possessions, that can be 30, 40 extra points for Holmes and he just goes bananas. The problem with Holmes is that sometimes he can fade in and out of games quite a lot. When you're an outside player, that is pretty detrimental because you don't have the constant contests to score points from. The other flip side of that is he is getting to those contests still, but he's not winning them. Now, Carlton's a tough matchup, which is probably why he went boy this week for midfielders. But I'm just a little bit concerned about Holmes against the bigger, sort of stronger midfields going forward. And there are a lot of good midfields in the league. So that's my opinion on Holmes. That's why I didn't go Holmes in the preseason. And that's why I will not be going Holmes now. Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller. I love watching this guy play. He is an absolute weapon of a kick. He's a very good player. And if I thought he was going to play half-back for the rest of the year, I probably would go Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller. However, the first magnet that Ross seems to flip when things aren't going well for the Saints is Nas. My problem with that is I don't really rate the Saints. So I think that magnet is going to get flipped a lot. And I think Ross wants to get Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller further up the ground so he can impact scoring more, which is tough for the Saints because there's no Max King. And whilst I think Higgins is second in the Coleman, it's not like he's getting goals from a lot of lead-up marks. It's generally like coming off of crumbs from the packs or their goals out the back. Like I don't think that's going to benefit Nas too much. What you really need for these guys is someone to crash packs and either take contested marks or just bring the ball to ground every time. And the Saints are struggling to do that at the moment. The other thing is, if he plays wing, I don't like selecting primos who play wing. You can get stuck on the wrong side. Now, obviously, they're going to try and avoid that with Nas, but it's just not a game I wish to play. When he goes into the middle, and I think this will stop with Filippo coming back in, if not this week, next week, he has no contested game. So he's very reliant on either a ground ball that's gotten so far away from the contest, he can use his speed to get there first, or he's reliant on Steele and McRae feeding it out to him. Steele and McRae have looked cooked in the last few weeks. So that's my other concern with Nas. Again, if I thought he was going to be behind the ball the whole time, I would probably go there. I just don't believe that's what's going to happen. With that being said, let's get into the 3 names that I have here that people are probably going to disagree with. The first one I've been talking about every week, I feel like, is James Sicily. Now, Sicily's had some really poor games the last couple of weeks. Last week, I think he genuinely dropped a 130, so let off for Nono. This week, he was just poor. Now, the ball wasn't in the backline much at all for this 75, but, it's not a great sign. What I will say is, no Amon and Scrimshaw this week. This Richmond matchup could be a 160. Now, whilst I would love that as a sugar hit this week, and probably the Melbourne match next week will be good as well, I just don't know if I can bring myself to doing it. I'm still concerned about him going forward. Deere played half a game in the VFL this week. I think he will play another game in the VFL next week, so this coming Saturday. And then he may be back into the side. My question is, do they just leave Sicily behind the ball now with a lot of defenders that are in form? Or Do they keep swinging him forward to make contests? Deer's coming off a back injury, still a young kid. Made a lot of contests last year, and he did that very well. That was his role, just to make contests, and he did a great job of that. But I'm just concerned that they decide that they need Sicily forward of the ball going forward. I have a week to decide this, but Sicily is one that I'm very interested in. If he plays behind the ball for the rest of the year, I think he can go 120. If you look at all these games, I think there's one game here. Oh, there's two. There's this game against the Giants and this game against Essendon. Wait, maybe he went forward against Essendon. No, he didn't. Those two games, he stayed in defence. Now, obviously, the Giants game wasn't great, but the Giants didn't do much in this game. So I'm giving him a mulligan for that. But yeah, Sicily is one that I am watching very closely. The next one is Jake Bowie. Now, what a starting pick this guy would have been. My issue with Bowie is I think he only does 95. So we're going to look at his scores here. He went to town on Richmond. He will go to town on West Coast this week. The other matchups he's gone well in is a Freo win and Gold Coast, who are leaking massive points to defenders. And then these tougher games against Geelong and Essendon, they were 80s. So plus side for Bowie, he's not going to get tagged. And I think he is their preferred picker. And he has a very high floor. It's looking like 80. So massive ticks. The problem is, I don't think this ceiling is going to come very often. And I don't want another Melbourne player. Now, that's because I'm worried that I'm using my heart instead of my head. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Bowie. The next one I have for defenders is Callum Mills. Now, I just want to preface this with, I know trading Callum Mills in off of an injury and then a setback with limited preseason of no games is a terrible decision. However, Callum Mills with 50% CBAs will be a top 6 defender. Callum Mills with 70% CBAs will be a top 3 defender. So for me, it's about gauging that role. And because I feel like my defense is so bad at the moment with Stewart and Dale, and I've lost points there, I am willing to make a play, if you will, by cashing Stewart in at least for Mills. It will probably blow up in my face. Callum Mills is made in China. But I need to send Tom Stewart to where Callum's made, in China. He needs to be gone. He needs to go play for the Guangdong Tigers. So I'm getting rid of Stewart this week. Those are the options that I have flagged. The other one is Trent Rivers, who, again, it's another Melbourne player. But I think Melbourne has started using Trent Rivers correctly. He's getting a little bit of mid-time. He's getting more ball in transition. He's one of the better users in the side. Let's just check. I'll talk about Dunkley in a second. That's why this is here. Trent Rivers. Okay, he's not getting any CBAs, I lie. All right, maybe not Trent Rivers. I think probably Bowie and Salem are getting too much ball for Trent Rivers. Yeah, that's my thoughts there. Other trading targets I really like this week are Isaac Rankin and Lockie Neal. I think they're going to go super well. I am looking at Rankin next week with Sinclair. I'm not sure I'll be able to get both of them, but I will try. The other player I like is Neal, who just went 130, obviously, but I think the tags are drying up. Like, he's had a tough run. Yeah, none of these. Oh, Melbourne probably go to him with Viney. He gets Bedford in 14. Whoever Geelong send to him and Jordan in 20. So it's every other game, I think you get at least 130. But those games you probably get 50 or 70s. Let's go 70. I think that makes Neal very tempting. It's not for me personally. The Brisbane midfielder I prefer is Dunkley. However, this CBA split scares me, and I think you can wait a week on Dunkley, so I wouldn't be going there this week. So just to recap, my top targets for this week are Rosie 1, Zorko 2, Isaac Rankin 3, Petrarca, if you don't have him, 4, and then Josh Dunkley 5. I don't like Dawson. I want to see a turnaround before I go Dawson. So if you're looking for an upgrade, that's what I'm thinking. Now, let's quickly talk trades. There's 3 schools of thought this week. The first school of thought is I am going to continue my upgrade cadence and we'll go 1 up, 1 down this week. There's no rookies on the bubble that are pickable, in my opinion. Oscar McDonald's going to get dropped and Tunstall was the sub this week, so you can't go there. Now, we may get a Sardis and whatnot. That will change what I'm about to say, but for what we know right now, it doesn't appear that's the case. So you go 1 up, 1 down. You go early on a rookie. You can still go 1 up, 1 down next week by getting the other of Huswaite and Busslinger, who I think Busslinger will hold, and I think Huswaite will hold at least until Nash is back. Second school of thought is my rookies have money to make. I'm going to hold my trades this week. Third school of thought is my rookies have money to make, so I'm not going to trade them. However, I have 2 premiums or a premium that is going to underperform on the year and I want to sideways. Now is the time to do it. Now, of those 3 schools of thought, the one that I'm currently on is the latter. And it's dangerous, I know. So what I locked and loaded when Supercoach opened, and I'm not proud to admit this, was this. So Callum Mills in and James Sicily in. I was massive on Sicily and Mills all pre-season. I think now is the time to go on them if I'm going to get them. This gives me 100k next week to continue upgrading as well. I think I will use my last boost next week. But yeah, that's kind of where my head is at right now. Now, I could also hold Dale and instead just do Stewart to Mills. Gives me 100k next week still. I could go Dale to someone else. I could actually go Dale to Ash, but I want a little bit of money next week to continue upgrading. If I was going to go 1 down, 1 up, I would probably go Levi down to Huswaite and Pryor. Oh. I prefer not to actually trade Pryor. Maybe I'm locking this. Okay, well, I'm going to start. I may also punt Dale at the end of the year. I need to decide with Dale. I was looking at his last year's stats, and I think we tend to look at things with a glass half full approach. And last year, people, I think, looked at this sub game, this game against Geelong, and this game against Adelaide, and were like, hey, these are outliers. But I actually think this 175 is the main outlier. Like, I think Dale's floor is really bad, and I think he's demonstrated that. And I'd rather punt these guys who aren't producing premium scores for guys who I think will produce premium scores. So I'm going to sit with this for now. This gives me 5 primo defenders. No, sorry. Yeah, it does with Rosie, who's on track for DPP. The ones I want then are Sinclair and Whitfield. Now, my plan all along was to get a 7th defender and a 7th forward and just roll with 8 mids and 3 rucks. I don't know if I'm going to get there, but I will plan for that for now. Worst case, I can sideways again. But that's something I need to consider doing. So that's how I'm going to roll this week for trades. I think, just to recap on trades, I think if you want to go 1 up, 1 down, despite no rookies on the bubble, that's fine. If you want to hold trades, I think that's really good as well, particularly if you have boosts left. And I think you can also use this week to sideways. So I think this week is fascinating because I think it's going to be a separator week. I think there's going to be some teams who make some really strong decisions that are a little bit risky that will pay them dividends throughout the rest of the season, which is why I'm choosing to go Mills and Sicily now. Now, if there was any indication that Elijah Sardis would play a few games, I would just go 1 up, 1 down probably and just trade. Or maybe I'd probably go Stewart to Sicily and Ashcroft down to, what's his name? Sardis, if we got Sardis. I don't think there are any other ones we're likely to get. Maybe we get a Camporelli or something like that. I'm not sure. But yeah, let's talk captains. So if you have Cherry, you can almost straight see in this matchup. I like Brayshaw into Gawn. I still think St Kilda will go after Sarong. If you had Bont or Butters, I think they are great options as well, but I don't think many will have them. Could go Dawson against Carlton, but I have no faith. I think Nick Dacos will get an amount of attention from Geelong. I don't know if it will be effective. I don't want to play that game, so I'm going to miss Nick Dacos for this week as a captain. Wouldn't go Whitfield if you had him. Could go Sicily against Richmond. I'm not brave enough for that. I think you could also go any of Zorko, Dunkley, and Neil against Gold Coast. Now, Gold Coast have levers they could pull to make those trades not great. Those captaincy options not great. The safest, I think, out of that is Zorko. So if you're looking for a pod C, maybe it's Dane Zorko, but I think if you have Gawn or Cherry, you kind of just have to go there. Like they're going to go bananas this week. They could both double ton, to be honest. So that's what I would be inclined to do. So yeah, that's it for the week. Let me know how you went. Let me know what trades you're going to make. Let me know what you think you should be doing with trades this week. As I said, I think it's an interesting week, so it'll get discussed throughout the week, I'm sure, with other content creators and on Twitter, that sort of stuff. But yeah, I hope you had a good week, and I will see you this time next week. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments below. I will answer them, or I'll do my best to anyway. And yeah, see you next week, guys. Thanks for watching.